Alright, so in this book, Atomic Habits, written by James Clear, James explains that habits are formed through 4 stages. The first stage is the cue. Habits begin with a cue or some type of raw data, basically anything that gets your attention. For instance, you smell the fresh aroma of coffee when walking down the street through work. Now this cue naturally triggers a craving. A craving is the motivational force behind every habit. For instance, you begin to crave for coffee. Now this craving motivates a response. And the response is the actual habit you perform. For instance, you buy a fresh cup of coffee. Now eventually, this response leads to a reward. Rewards are the end goal of every habit. For instance, you satisfy your craving by taking a sip of your nice cup of coffee. This cycle is known as the habit loop. The more you repeat a habit loop, the stronger and more automatic they become. For instance, if I buy a coffee every time I walk to work, then eventually this becomes a habit that I will pretty much do on autopilot. I mean, as described by James, most of us never give a second thought to the fact that we tie the same shoe first each morning, or unplug the toaster after each use, or always change into comfortable clothes after getting home from work. After decades of mental programming, we automatically slip into these patterns of thinking. Now, these habit loops can of course result into good habits, but also into bad habits, especially because most habits go on autopilot. So how can we influence the habit loop to make it work for us? Well, in this book, James explains 4 laws to influence the habit loop. And if you are curious about these 4 laws, then I suggest to watch the video that pops up somewhere here above, and I will also place a link in the description.